Mike Gill and Qrash.
Hi
We're
there.
gonna try to pick up the story. Try to remember where we left you. Bad luck, right? HBO series that they literally canceled because it was associated with me and horse racing and gambling. Yeah. But when I'm telling them they're all cheating, they can't have you watching it on HBO. And then I told you tied to the tracks. What was tied to the tracks? What did I didn't know was tied to the tracks until later. Well, let's take a look at this. What was tied to the tracks? We were moving illegal aliens through these hay trucks and horse carriers into the state of Pennsylvania, not New Hampshire now, Pennsylvania, into a network of licensing that could make you legal. The illegal, legal with an address, just a backside of the track, or possibly even a stall at the track. That you are legal and you have an address and you work for the cartel. Human trafficking and distribution. Under the disguise of a racetrack, a casino owned by one of the largest casino networks in the world, Wynn Casino, Sands Casino. Vegas is involved in that Western Pennsylvania track that was owned by the Pittsburgh mob. Wow. So we got the mafia, and we showed you where their wires went to strip joints, went offshore on fixing races, which is how to launder money. We showed and brought you that. Now, we talked about the cartel, but I didn't tell you Anagos in 2015. When this happened, I didn't know who the cartel was. I found the cartel because I'm finding victims all over the place in the state of New Hampshire. And where we have victims, number one and number two, West Virginia, Pennsylvania. What do we have all in common? The Sinaloa Anagos cartel. So, boys and girls, we didn't find Anagos yet. We just found the cleaning that was going from Pennsylvania to New Hampshire, which is why it was all the same players. Hit Ted Little Qrash. Remember, Ted Little was telling me I was right about Pincus and Pollock, and we put that out there, right?
Do you want that image or do you want your first?
Just that
Okay.
image, because I want you to understand who this is. Ted Little worked for me. Remember? I'm sorry, what does that image say?
Uh, what
Okay,
matters most
matters
now
now
these
these days.
days?
Right. All
It's
right.
not what
And they
you
say
know, is what you can prove.
you never quit. Right. Okay. Now hit it back, Qrash. Now, Little was working with Pincus and Penn National.
Let me know when you're done.
So they knew the laundering network was tied to these racetracks and casinos, as it is in casinos in New Hampshire. What were they trying to buy? Rockingham Park to continue the operation right within the borders of New Hampshire, which was protected. Wait a minute now. So the money is being laundered at the racetracks through these wires with the help of the mob who owns these strip joints and these racetracks too, together with the casino network from Vegas, the largest casino, such as Wynn, who moves to Massachusetts and gets bagged with the same mob. Okay, so keep following now, right? So, in other words, this is a massive laundering network, largest casinos in the world, and they're pointing to New Hampshire. You know where they point in New Hampshire? Let's point again. Ready? That's 935 billion that the Pandora papers dropped on their ass. You know who it was from? Cartels, just like this, the same fucking cartels. You
That's
get it?
yeah.
They're all
I don't
destination.
think people can understand the amount of money.
Well, how about this? You ready? The Red Sox just got sold. Record price. Wow. $6 billion. Well, now times that by, I don't know, 330 times or so
Yeah.
is the move from the cartel. The war in Ukraine, 300 billion. Your defense budget for the country all year, 700. They're moving more drug money and cartel and human trafficking money than we are spending on our military.
Right.
So think about this. Do you know when this was, when I was giving you these wire transfers, and we'll go over today in Mafia Live and Well? I'm bringing you from there, and we're continuing the journey and where it went. And it ends at new room service and some Ukrainian asshole trying to take my life. Now, I still didn't know who the cartel was, but I know who sent them, and now we know the name. But see, when that wire, the money to Pandora Papers, as they're going to New Hampshire too, I am Pandora's box only as the discovering that laundering network. And these racetracks were part of that. You have no idea how big this is. And why now? Why am I forcing it down their throats now? Because they're vulnerable. They're vulnerable with their audits and their money, and they're not pulling the trigger. They're vulnerable and they're not pulling the trigger. And when I see Aon in New Hampshire, she blocked this before. Sununu was part of this crime family. Shaheen and the Clintons is where they all hide their money. It's the last secret you get from them until you win a war. Follow the money, find out how they clean the money. And then you come to realize, as I've showed you when Tied to the Tracks, who came to the rescue? The Department of Justice, Behe, U.S. Senator for Pennsylvania, U.S. Attorney.
Yeah.
The FBI, Bruce Dupay. These people confronted me, threatened me to shut up, and I told them to go fuck themselves, and I told them then and now. And for the people who were offended, I am sorry. Listen, I am fighting in hell with the worst human beings
In the world and ever.
that are closer than you think to taking everything that you have and the freedoms that you have. So excuse me, but this is who you had to be here. You had to outthink them and you had to outfight them and you have to outtough them. You think they're not squeezing me now? You think without having money and medical issues each and every week that I'm going, listen, but I ain't fucking quitting. You can roll my ass up into this computer and we'll be giving you the rest of it. But know this, that is the Pandora Papers before it. That dropped on the trillions that they were dropping by stealing it from you. They're calling it waste. No one's getting your money back. How to get their money is how and where they stole your money. That's what I've done here, and that's what you're going to see. So, okay, let's hit it, Qrash. What's that? Let's get into Mafia Live and Well. Now, before we do this, Married to the Mob. This, and I want you to see the last video. You're going to have to see it yourself. I want you to see it in full. And Qrash and I decided to give you certain clips after the fact because I want you to see it. So when I want you to see those clips and the deposition sworn, you'll have a full understanding and grasp what that really was. Okay, so in this deposition now, you'll see the importance of it all, about Penn National, about money laundering. Remember? Now check the date. I can't see the date, but I believe the date is
12/20/20.
12/20/20. That's 2 days after the insurrection date of December 18th from the Oval Office in Flynn. This is going to Carissa Ketchel, as you see. This is the money laundering there. And Rakelin's in New Hampshire. Flynn's talking to you about Ukraine. Where do you think the money went from New Hampshire? What the Ukraine? They were their trading partners, laundering partners. That's why it became a portal across the country. Across the country? My bad. That Pandora Papers came across the world. That's the door to hell right there, and Flynn has it, and that's what he's using to leverage. Okay, hit it, Qrash. That's what they're using to leverage. Blackmail and extortion. And all they got to do is to keep that going, is not tell you. It's okay. So again, this is that video, right? Now, the background of this video is, listen, when I ran victims and then met with many victims privately because their lives were in danger. This one victim was married to a state trooper, but not just a state trooper. And the person in the deposition at the end, Shannon Donnelly, And I'll explain more into that. Boy, that's not that. This alone would make a movie. But I had to shut her up from giving out that name. She turned around, and this state trooper was a bagman, a payoff guy. She got into his computer, and we were finding out where the wires were coming from Penn. She found me through Penn National because she found the wires and the payoffs, which is why it was going to the Foxy Lady, which it was why it was going to Suffolk Downs. That was by Seabiscuit, by the way. That was their code name. They were using them to bet offline, offshore rather, offshore.
Okay. Was she a victim or this?
No, she was a mole for them,
Okay.
Shannon
I
Donnelly.
thought it was a mole. Okay. I'm just
No, she was a
clarifying.
mole. She
Okay.
was someone that worked for the state that we found out that we didn't know, that was calling me as a victim, that husband was one of the heads of the mafia.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Yeah. I mean, that was it. And listen, when they got to me was because of this,
Okay.
because of Penn National. What did she come to the table with? Penn National and Liberty Mutual. Liberty Mutual was the deep state, was the laundering network. What was Penn National? I wasn't even suing them. She had settlement agreements, releases. Hiram Eastman, their home office was in Mississippi. And as soon as I said no, is when they went to no room service. You got to snuff them. And that's when that opened the door. And when it opened the door, when I ran for governor, it was the same cartel I was going after. Those bastards are murderers. You heard Kill Gill. Who did he work for? Auto Fair. Who did he collect for? The fucking mob? Generosity, all this. He names the names that you hear her read off the paper. The same, the same wires that I intercepted.
Right.
I
Now,
mean, this is
just
suicide.
just to
I'm just hearing
clarify,
it myself. Listen,
everything you do is
and the
suicide.
cartel was sending them too. So the assholes collecting for the mob and killing for the cartel, and they're knocking on my door.
I just wanted to say when I post this video on Twitter or an X, I'm going to also post these. You're talking about the deposition that you had me
Yes,
record. Okay, so it's 4 videos. I'll post it all together
yes, yes.
so people can understand what.
If
And
you watch that deposition,
right,
and that ain't a movie,
and she
I
does
mean,
she admits that they offered you this money. It wasn't the other
yes.
way around, which everybody wants to say, but
And remember, in 2013, they offered me the money. This was 2 years after that. They were still offering
still
me
off.
money.
Right.
And guess what? And when I said Barrington was offering money, Barrington's the lawyer in the room. In fact, you know what? Hit that for me. Barrington, 50 mil.
Okay.
This is exactly what Barrington was in the room. It was a complete setup.
So is this not what you want?
No, that's exactly what I wanted.
Okay, because this is
I
another
took that
video.
was Barrington in court, and you'll see some videos me confront them. I go, tell them we turned down 50 million. Tell
Yeah.
them who was giving us 50 million. Barrington was in the room. He was a mole married to the mob. And that's him running out the door.
Yeah, he ran literally.
Well,
I watched that one. That's
I've
a different
scared a
video
few
though.
people.
Yeah.
Right. But I haven't grabbed them yet. Not yet.
Yeah, yeah.
So the thing here is, right? So Barrington's in there, and right after that, they tried to stuff me.
Right.
And then who was the person doing the video? And you hear Shannon going, "Oh, I took my orders from Kerry Lemieux."
Yeah.
She was right. Lemieux was giving them the orders. She
Yeah.
told us. And where she was a mole too. Listen, everybody's a fucking mole in there. My
Yeah.
whole company, people I knew for years. That's how powerful it is. They would turn around and say, he's at the door. He's at the gates. That's why Aot was the bitch. I'm sorry. Was the person I met at the gate before. They put the same monster in. You want to know what's going on? The old guard. That's
Yeah.
Clinton's and Bush. All right. So now we got Barrington in there. Now she's talking about that, right? Married to the mob. Listen, it's a sworn deposition, so you're not going to see too many of the pictures and images, but you have to see it. But I'm telling you, it's gold. But what you're going to hear, all right, hit it, Qrash. What you're going to hear from her is she was married. She never told me her maiden name, just that the mafia was on her and all this other stuff. When I'm doing Mafia Alive and Well, what we're referring to. And I'm going to show you some of these wires. You know what? Show them the vessel wire. I'm asking you a little, we've zoomed in on this. But anyhow, these wires.
I don't know which one that is.
Okay, all right. We'll come through. But there's a wire that we're going to go through certain wires, but you'll see the name vessel. This is what happened. I'm sitting in the conference room. No, I'm sitting in the conference room, right? And I'm doing this Mafia Alive and Well and putting these together. And I'm pulling all these wires out, right? Over my shoulder, she comes into the conference room. It was in a long conference room. I look for 1 second. 1 second. I know that's hard to believe, but that's who I am. And I seen in her eye, she was nervous of something. Something shocked her. Now I had to then go, what was I looking at that stopped her in her tracks and even stopped it in the middle of a word? Ready? Vessel. And it was the connection with the mob and taking payoffs. You know who turned out to be, she was married to before? Vessel. She was married to that guy. That one look said problem. When I turned around and had her sign a document, an affidavit, she was married to Vessel and fired her, which you will see comes out in that sworn deposition. The question is, do you believe in the mafia? Yes, I do. You're damn right, Wes, she does. And you know what they were tied to? The deal with Wynn Casino, which is why you're seeing Vessel and Wynn and Donacio, all these things. Exactly. Ready? Those were wire transfers and numbers and how long. See, the husband was part of this. Guess what he owns? A chain of pizza dough factories.
Pizza dough?
Yeah, pizza dough, right. All right. And then she talks into it like he sold the doughism to the head of the mafia, and they're pissed. how about bring that to real? And the same people, right, that I gave you the name, hit another wire.
Hit another. You're going out of order.
I know, you know something. I'm telling the story. We got to tell the story by the thing. But these other wires now, I keep getting them up. And you know what's coming up in it? Seabiscuit. It turns out to be Suffolk Downs. Wynn, could you blow that up? Wynn Casino. Right?
Now, you want to read any of the top of that, or I'm probably going to have to read it for you.
What do you have highlighted?
I have, well, you highlighted it. So below are the actual names of their eBay. This is eBay accounts.
Yeah.
Am I on the wrong screen again? Because you're going out.
No, you're okay there.
Guys, this is not my fault. This is
it's not.
Mike's going out of order.
And that I'm a blind son of a bitch.
Well, that's little writing. Do you want Seabiscuit up?
Yeah. Here's it. I'm seeing it on my end. Okay. So hit Seabiscuit up.
Hit Seabiscuit. Okay.
All right.
Wasn't that a movie? Okay, I think this is Seabiscuit.
It was also a racehorse that they made a movie of the year that I won the world championship. So I was up for the world championship that year. I think I finished second. Now, why that's important is you see the book and matches. It's Suffolk Downs Racetrack. You see where it's going from there? It's going to across the country. Now, Suffolk Downs had the wire service that was using for Penn. They were using Penn's wire service to Brock across Massachusetts and New Hampshire, across this country. That's what that was. Now, that's why Seabiscuit, that tied in Massachusetts. Okay, hit it.
Well, before I hit it, okay. What's in parentheses there? The amount of wires?
Yes. Okay. Transactions.
1,500 transactions on that one with a Z in the middle there.
Exactly.
Holy crap.
Go back to that gambling account that we had. The eBay, PayPal, with the highlights. If you look at those gambling accounts, right? Check all the accounts have transfers from the troopers, from PI counterparts in Massachusetts. Every one of the names you find, 20 to 500,000 transactions since 98. 500,000 transactions. Look at Cantor, offshore. You bet.
I don't know if I'm on the right screen again, but.
No. And it's my fault, but that's all right. I'm ready. CG Technology is the casino in Singapore. You'll see technology at the end of it.
That's not it either, is it?
Oh, right. That could be part of it too. But my
That's
point
part.
being is you're seeing the actual transfers, the accounts of the transfers going to that wire service owned by Cantor Gaming. The same Cantor Gaming that Penn National using to fix the races. Those fixed races then get put to all these other entities. And all of them at the same time bet offshore, bringing their money back. And we just showed you one with 500,000 transactions. And you
No,
find out
no.
who they're going to.
Oh yeah. I'm
You're
trying to
finding
find.
out that these payoffs, right? We're going to state senators, going to state troopers. They're going to your politicians. They're going to federal judges, wired into their accounts. You understand? This is how not only you bribe and you pay people off and you control the courts, but this is the methodology, right? So you can see all the entities where it's going. And that's why Cantor Gaming became important. And what happened? Cantor Gaming got wired, got busted for mob ties and corruption. They just made it CG technology. It's the same assholes working out of Penn National, the same wire that now they're bringing. And you know what they have in New Hampshire now? They have that betting through Anagos and the cartels using the wires. I think Rockingham Park's a shopping center now, plaza. But they created it by then making multiple casinos. Okay. Then Wynn lied over Boston land. Now remember, it was my wires that caught these bastards. Okay? It was the wires. So when we say he lied, I had posted all those stuff. I had intercepted those wires. I was on it. Steve Wynn
Hang on, hang on.
was on.
Mike, you're going too fast for me, Mike.
Okay.
There we go. I got it. I couldn't find it.
Okay. No,
Sorry.
you had posted it. All right. So understand what happened here. Everything that I was saying and calling out Wind and calling out, first of all, Penn National happened previous. This is what I was bringing you up to. So, in other words, when I was they were fixing the races, that happened first. That's tied to the tracks. So, in other words, when I found out fixing races, then I had to find out the wire. Then I had to find whose wire it was. But then it was the intention of buying Penn National and putting it together. You know who I find out? Steve Wynn, the major owner of Penn National, the wire service. You see what I'm saying? And building a multi-billion-dollar casino in Massachusetts with the same people. And who does he buy the land from? The same people, the same same mafia on the wires. So when she reads in deposition, Shannon Donnelly, she's reading the names that sold the racetrack, showed the land to Steve Wynn. They got busted, front page Boston Globe, you know, Boston Costa Nostra, sells land to Wynn Casino. So, but see, what I'm trying to tell you is this is all the money laundering network. The mob from Vegas has still got their hands around this. The cartel, the big money maker, is using the same existing network of buying politicians, controlling judges. What did the mafia do? Now they're doing it through here. And that's the point. The point is, they went to New Hampshire. As the Pandora papers went to New Hampshire, that's what they're finding it. So what I'm saying is, you find the cleaning network, the laundering network,
Freezing up.
by going to New Hampshire, and there it is, and that's why it's guarded. What was that?
You're freezing up.
Qrash?
Hang on, just give it a minute. It's unstable, I think.
Did I lose you?
No, I'm still here. Just wait. Wait.
Yeah.
I think it'll level off. It's your end, I guess.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're back. Are you okay? Can you hear me? It looks like you might
I
have.
can still freezing. Okay, I can see you move now.
I'm here. It's still recording,
All
so
right, I haven't
sorry.
hung up.
Great connection there.
Okay, so
It
we'll
looks
keep
like
going. So understand what we're saying here. That's why the importance of now is what we're doing is by following that money there. It still flows there. It's the same players, it's the same people. It goes to the network that puts Bush and Clinton. It's their trusts, it's their foundations. That's Bill Shaheen and who he is and represents
Oh, it froze on a good
the
screen there. I hope
DO.
it's
It's
freezing up yet.
so it didn't hear me talk.
I don't know what it's recording. It usually I don't know. It keeps recording. It seems like it does okay, but can you hear
Right.
me?
Hey, didn't I tell you not to
I
jinx
know.
us about the
I
steady?
know.
We had such a good connection. I go, uh-oh, you did it then. But you know what? I don't know what you hear and what you don't hear. But at this point, right, the importance of everything that we've done is again following the money. The money, as you see in Pennsylvania, and the same operation in West Virginia, hotbeds of fentanyl and death and poverty too. And they prey on that. And that all was heading to New Hampshire again. 8 years before. Pandora Papers came out 5 years after what I gave you there. All of cartel. But that's what I did. So, in other words, I understood now. And then when Aaron Day shows up at the thing with O'Keefe, they had the cartel. They knew who I identified, meaning who were cleaning their money, who was sending the money in. By giving me the names, opened the door and a focus. They were trying to murder me before I know who they were. That was no room service. Well,
And
that was an
when
act of God looking at a door handle that moves. Watch. And I said, you know what? Watch that too. You know what happened after that? It was Erin Day that covered it up, Eileen Landy, and before then it was Kerry Lemieux. When I got back from that, I went to Brian Toomey. You ready? My VP of the company, and I explained to him that if they got through me, they would have murdered my son Clay. He started crying and told me. No, I got his computer. Remember, I'm running around with a computer, the feds? It's his
yeah,
computer. Now, you ready? Brian Toomey, 3 months, 4 months before, bought a brand new house, furnished it. I know he stole all my money to do it. Okay? But he has it. Guess what? After I came back from that, confronted him, he told me it was Kerry Lemieux who gave me my address, but he knew he was involved in it. That night, I went to his house with Greg Theodore and a camera. The house was for sale. It was empty, not a stick, not a spoon, not a desk, not a chair, nothing. This guy was gone within a matter of 3 to 4 hours
hours.
of my life.
Now, who is Toomey again? I'm sorry.
Brian Toomey was the VP of my company.
Oh, right.
If I would happen to me, he'd move into the slot. I think that's what they paid him off with. He's still a witness there, and you have to snatch him up. And he only set me up to be murdered. He got a little emotional where they were going to take my son out too. That is Dick Anagos.
Okay.
That was a Ukrainian. I thought it was a Russian. Now that I look at it, I go, it could have been a Ukrainian. Who was I finding then? All Ukrainians.
Right.
I had 39 companies tied from New Hampshire to Ukraine, constant transfer of money. So I knew what the Ukraine was. It was their money laundering partner offshore. Just as they were sending money over to Singapore, this is money you send over with drug money that you can't bet because it's in the trillions. And they do it through a whole country that's controlled through a state. And not everywhere in a small state controlled by Clintons and Bushes, which is why Senator Jean Shaheen just decided not to run. Oh,
Yeah.
she decided to run, just not for office. Let's see what happens with Sununu. But it also means if Flynn's walking, that they ain't opening that door. And if
Right.
you're going to open, what did I tell you when I said 1, 2, 3? Remember? I said they're going to try to kill him. That was 3. That we did find out they tried to kill him, right? Assassinate him. In fact, if we want to look at this closely, and this should be examined and involves Flynn and insurrection, they should listen to that tape that meeting I had with Shelby Bush.
How
And
do
with
we get that subpoenaed? We need to get a subpoena for that. Yeah.
It's the
Good luck.
judges. So here, yeah. But here's the point. They tried to kill Trump within 24 hours, 48 hours. And my life was threatened quite openly and posted
Right away.
within the same time period.
Yeah.
So as they're trying to assassinate Trump, it appears they were threatening to murder me. And it was more than a threat, shitheads. But see, that's why I had to get out of Arizona. Arizona was a setup. It was the cartel. If I got snuffed in Arizona, this you don't know about. You see the casinos? I'm bringing their asses back. Right. They ain't sliding under this. You think professional sports aren't fixed? They fix a race with a professional athlete on his ass, right? All we have to do is eliminate the horse, and they can fix the same human can fix the race, or the situation a lot easier. It all has to be examined. You can't trust any of it.
Can
That's
I
why
say
you
something?
audit every senator and every rep.
Right. Can I say something about Arizona real quick?
Yeah.
I just want to point out, I was dealing with you and this mess when that happened.
Every
And
day.
when Michelle flipped, I know she's not going to say she flipped, but she flipped. No one came to your rescue. No one. Okay.
Trust
And you
you.
had, now let me just say this. You had no way to get a video out. You're not technically, you don't have the technical skills. So you had, I'm trying to be nice.
I had no money left, very little. I was in Arizona where I understood now they were going to try to murder me. They had my location and they had my phone.
Right.
It was your help getting that message out there first on Zoom and right.
Wait. Before Zoom, I was panicked because you had nothing. And there were people, I'm just going to say, there were people in our circle that could have got you. I think what helped you, or not, I don't want to say saved you, is getting us on Zoom and you still talking about what you saw. Because if you couldn't have gotten that out.
I won't rule out the fact that it did save me.
That's what I'm saying.
I was out of options, in a bad place, and without communications, bad things happen in the dark. Listen, as much as I'm hoping that this moves the bar, as much I'm also leaving evidence, my words, what I'm telling you happens to me. So one time it does get evaluated, but I was in the worst place I'd ever been in, and the only person that helped me was Qrash. And we did this Zoom thing together. We struggle even now, which should tell you how bad we were 6 months ago.
Well,
but they all.
I'm not saying it to pat myself on the back. I'm just saying to understand the amount of the level of what they're going to shut you down. And you, exactly. If you had to start that give, send, go, or you would have never got out of that snake den, that
100%.
And
100%. And listen, if you look at the gift and go, I'm not getting rich. I struggle every month. I can't go to a doctor, and I don't care. I mean, I just have enough just to get by, and that's trouble. But you know something? Here's the point. Who's around you at the worst of times? When they're not there when you need them, and nobody was there. And I got to tell you, it was organized to let me die on that branch.
That's my
on that vine.
That was my point. They got you there with that $5,000 and left you there.
Left me there to be murdered. And then the only thing that saved my life prior to that was that brokered convention, and they didn't know it. They had to find out if Trump knew. That's why the CIA came. That's why Lockwood came, right?
Right.
But after that, and then Michelle's last thing was to give them my location and my phone. And then all of a sudden, when I lost the phone, I had all these people looking for my fucking phone. Right. Yeah. But that's because I was being tracked the whole time. So I knew at that point I was in trouble. And I was in trouble with Planet Fitness. That Mike Gill. Right. Listen, he makes $800 million if the cartel gets kicked out of Planet Fitness. So have that sink in. That's
800 million.
That's his words. 200 under $1 billion, 800. Now, who took that money from him? Who could? Oh, I don't know. The Sinaloa cartel and Anagos? Yeah. Anagos goes to jail, Sinaloa, boom. He gets the business back? Could be. Could it be worth 800 million? Maybe, exactly. You see, there's motivation here. You know what my motivation is? To tell you the truth.
The
Now,
truth.
who has that information? Flynn. Who's in New Hampshire? Raiklan. You understand? You don't think they knew? I just showed you how married to the mob that I'm telling you how important that is. Flynn had that on December 20th, 2 days after he met with Trump at the Oval Office. You don't think it was important? They did. They're there now. Snuff me. The cartel did it. Ariel in the same time is telling you, oh, it's Planet Fitness. How did he know? And at the same time, he's giving you the Sinaloa cartel politicians in the state of Arizona while my ass was there. Like he did something to find it.
Yeah, right. Like you were supposed to find that. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah.
And then I am telling you, that's a motivation. If you put it on paper, see, here's the thing that we were trying to tell you in the last one, the spin. The spin has got to be that somehow they figured it all out.
Right.
Those little schmucks. They can't have me to run saying, have you ever talked to them? They don't know what the hell they're doing. They're the thieves. They're the crooks. They're blackmailing them. They're getting paid off. See, that's where we are. And that's the secret. And listen, it also means that Planet Fitness is in trouble because they're dicing them up for the credit and trying to get rid of me. And listen, I'm doing it for the credit. I'm almost 70 fucking years old. What credit am I looking for? And I was rich and famous. Don't they do this shit in reverse?
Yeah, exactly.
They do bad shit and they lie and they steal
and then they get paid
and they get rich.
Yeah.
I'm rich and famous and gone broke. Do you see analogies here? Do you see how they attack you? Listen, they attacked Musk with Tesla. Do you remember what they did to mortgage specialists? I was only the largest in the country. He didn't mind them trying to burn me down with them. I didn't have a president coming to my help unless I came to his, although I came to his, which is why they were trying to burn my ass down. That's why it's so important. And what you're trying to say is to have people that have your back, particularly when that time. And when that time is passed, right, of them having your back and telling you who they are, that time is passed. Are you going to trust somebody like that again to be in that position? And maybe you don't have that other person to trust. I say you learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of them. But everything that I've told you of who they are and what they've been is here we are. When I'm showing you 8 years video, that is right to the point of now and what's happening and the point. When I'm telling you the path to them was through their money, you're not seeing it now, you're not seeing it every day. Remember to. What I'm telling you, they know. What did they give you on Kennedy? What'd you learn?
Nothing.
Epstein list. What'd you get? Nothing. And last but not least, Jack Smith and his 77 witnesses that were going to put President Trump in jail. We're going to release him. You didn't get Jack. You didn't get those names. And you know who's on that list? General Flynn.
Flynn, yeah.
Sidney Powell. So when Jack says he's got Trump's personal lawyer from December 18th from the Oval Office working for him, who could that be? Sidney Powell. Now, Trump wins. They have to remove that idea. They make a deal. Flynn can put the DOJ and corrupt the DOJ. He's now running for office. Trump's patting him, not running for office. He's running for his ass. And pat him on the ass and accept him. He's going to be in the media company. They're going to move right in with Bongino, Tucker Carlson, legitimize all these assholes. Yeah. Even Alex Jones, who turned around and said we'd be better off if Trump was dead, with Raiklan on.
Right.
Did we forget about that shit? I mean, listen, I told Qrash that my father used to say the Gills live by the feud. You say something like Stones called President Trump's daughter a whore,
Or yeah.
You don't get a chance like that in our house. I'll leave you with this story of my father and a chance like that. I came to my father's house. My youngest sister, I think she was probably 20 years old, 19 at the time, sitting on, and my father sitting on a couch with the boyfriend coming over. The boyfriend came in shorts and didn't have shoes on, which is always a bad idea. He's sitting there, and I know my father's brewing. He doesn't say anything. Then the boyfriend takes over off out of his wallet, takes a picture. I don't see who it is, and shows it to my father. Then he slides it back into his wallet, and no one says the word. But I'm seeing my father, and he stands up. He goes over to the closet, and he reaches up. Now, the only thing we have up when he reaches up is guns.
I was going to say.
I immediately go to my father, grab him. I go, Dad, no. He showed him the picture was a naked girlfriend of the last one.
Really?
This story goes on. So we kick him out of the house. And I tell him, my father's telling my sister, and I'm telling my sister, you are not going to date him again. He starts calling the house, telling my father what he's going to do. He did to my sister. My father went to his house with a gun to kill his ass. And I guess if you Google it, they let him go and so forth. But so my point is, Stone calling Trump's daughter a whore in my house is always a bad idea.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
Yeah. My father's dead.
I never heard that story, so that was...
Oh, I've got a million of them.
Listen, I know.
I got a million of them. I lived loud and didn't even understand. Listen, once you get older, you understand. My father was the toughest SOB I've ever met. My mother was the most faithful and brave when you consider the handicaps that she lived through.
Right.
But they all had nothing.
Yeah.
They all lived, but I know that they loved each other. And you know what? In a weird way, they loved us too. In a way of having a back. I'd call my father up, have my back. My father would be here, armed to the teeth, going, let's have a shootout. Oh, it reminds me of the son inviting the MAFIA over for a shootout. See, when I invited them over for a shootout, I didn't know it was Anagos.
Exactly.
It was both. And listen, I'd have still invited them both over. Let's see how it goes. It's better than this shit. Oh, well, we're sorry for the technical difficulties, but it's a miracle we're here.
Yeah, anyway.
And we're still going to be a pain in the ass. But no, this is all connected. You want to talk why I had to do this? Who would have been in the position from banking to call it and catch it? In the state of New Hampshire, who was prominent at the World Champion Racing to see it? I mean, God just put me in a couple of places. And then, you know what he did in his wisdom? He parked me in the podcast world, and only to find Flynn and the Munchkins again.
Exactly. I don't know how you do it.
I can't get out of the circle of evil. And you know what? Why? Well, he may be in those wrong circles. No, those fucking circles find me. Flynn found me, remember? Day and O'Keefe found me. Llewellyn found me. Walker and Shaheen found me. I ain't looking for anybody.
Yeah.
At least not then. I was just looking for, listen, I had 5 kids. I get home at night at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Every one of those kids were sitting by the door with a ball in their hands.
Waiting.
The only choice I got was to pick the ball.
Yep.
I'd go to bed at night. We play softball with my kids, meaning we'd be playing football using a sock, and they throw it and hit me in the face to keep me awake. That's the Gills. And they were tough. And listen, when my boys played sports, the town knew about it, which is why I got banned as a coach. which is why they stopped taking score at T-ball games. And look what the hell happened to everybody.
Oh my!
We created a woke society.
Yeah.
Not in the Gill house.
I was gonna say not in your house.
What we had was last story, because I do it. My nephew won the state championship.
Of what?
Wrestling.
Oh, okay.
And we kick him over to the house, right? We had a wrestling belt we would put on the mantle, and it was my 4 sons and me. Now, whoever's the champ, that's his belt. and they put it on the mantle. And being the biggest, and listen, I only lost one fight was to my son Mike. He rolled me under a pool table. We got wedged, and he happened to be on the top. But I did lose that when I lost my belt. But my nephew Jeff comes over. Well, Mike, and he's happy, and all the boys are looking at each other, and we said it all at the same time. Ready? The Gill house is part of the state. And as far as we're concerned, you ain't the state champions until you get that belt. We kicked his ass and took his belt, put it on the mantle for a week. We gave it back. He crashed. But that's how we roll.
Yeah. Oh my.
All right, Qrash.
All right. I'll see ya.
Bye.